Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. And we are now going to be talking with Amina Kathree Jamal, and we are talking about healing hearts. Assalamu alaikum, dearest sister. Welcome to the program. Lovely to have you here.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi. Absolute pleasure. First time on Salam Media for me.
Oh, welcome. Heartiest congratulations to you for being on our platform for the first time, and a huge welcome. Lovely to have you here. So let's get to the heart of the matter. You are with Healing Hearts, and I'm wondering what inspired the establishment of the Healing Heart Support Group. You clearly saw a particular gap in this support space for widows and divorcees. What were there some personal encounters as well, or someone close to you that was going through a very difficult journey that you decided something needs to be done here?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Actually, I myself am a widow. I became a widow in 2013 when I lost my husband through cancer. And obviously, I was looking for some support at that time. And, I was going to the hospice who were giving some support to the caregivers as well. But it was not satisfying my needs being a Muslim. And so I stopped going there and I said, we really need something. And I couldn't find that kind of support. I did have some good individuals from Durban who were really my good mentors. And they did help me. It was like Sister Hani Ali. It was Auntie from Islamic Guidance. So Hafsa Mullah. And, I used to call them sometimes late at night and say, you know what, I'm not coping. I'm not being able to handle this and so forth. So they were my great mentors. But I knew there were many more widows like me going through this journey all alone. And, Julie, you never know about this journey. How many widows haven't we gone visited and we've given them some comfort and say, stay strong, or, the common one is make sabr and things like that. Until you yourself are in that situation, do you then realize you said make sabr, keep strong, and you went away home. What does that widow go through? How is it like at night? How does she cope with all the extra responsibilities? Does she console herself? Does she console her children? What are all the things that she's got to look at? It's very, very overwhelming. And, I was actually in Turkey. My daughter had had a baby, and it was 5 years after I had become a widow. I was still grappling for 5 years. And I was there and I spoke to my daughter and son-in-law and I said, when I go back now, I think I'm ready. I think I need to start a group. Maybe I can start mentoring. And I also kept questioning myself. Why am I a widow? Why did Allah make me a widow? There must be a reason. I need to find my purpose. And this is what really spurred me on. If I'm still alive, if I'm still here, and I'm sure many widows will identify with this and say, when you lose your spouse, you just feel like you want to pull the duvet over your head and never face another day. And exactly what I felt like, and I kept saying, no, Allah, this is a purpose. You have made me a widow for a purpose. So show me the purpose, guide me. So use me for, for the pleasure of Allah. So anyway, it just so happened I spoke to Sister Razia Baks, who is actually the founder of the Friends group. And we have a wonderful group formed here in Durban, and it's called Friends. And we have a whole host of groups under that, categories, I should say. So we have like healing, we have arts and crafts, Healing Hearts is under that. We have trauma, mentoring, we have Arabic, we have book club, we have public speaking, and there's a mind and body soul, enough groups we have under that. So I just happened to speak to Sister Razia Parks at that time, and we said, let's put this together under the wing of Friends. So Healing Hearts was then developed. I just spoke to a few friends who I knew who were widows, and then suddenly I find divorcees contacting me. Can we join the group as well? So we included them. Widowhood is like the end of a marriage, right? It's a death of a spouse. But when it comes to the divorcees, for them, it's a death of a marriage. So it's a similar kind of grieving. Strangely, society is much more sympathetic to widows than they are to divorcees. And
Absolutely. In fact, I read somewhere a while ago that, and we know that if we lose our spouses through death, we kind of almost accept it and say it's Allah's will, that we too will have to close our eyes one day, and that is our final journey, our final destination. But the saying is that when you lose a spouse through divorce, it is that much more traumatic because the person is still around. He's probably moved on with his life with another woman, and you having to live with that, having to live with the fact that you're perhaps unlovable, that you've done something wrong in the marriage, that you didn't step up in certain aspects of that relationship. And that is why your husband or ex-husband has decided to move on. So you sit with all of that, questioning yourself, all that trauma. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable enough. I'm not pretty enough. And all of that, I'm not enough. So it is that much more traumatic and difficult. And if anything, one can't measure this, but if anything, I think, according to that article, that divorcees have a deeper, a deeper grieving period than widows. Allah knows best. Another comment you made just now was, regarding getting in touch with sisters, sisterhoods, and all of that. I'm kind of wondering about the support, the genuine support and upliftment you get through these groups. And the other big factor, obviously, is the confidentiality aspect. I think a lot of women, very specifically Indian and Muslim women, always worry about that factor when they attend a support group. Your thoughts, Amina?
yeah, absolutely true. You know, when you talk about the divorced women, they're broken because their self-esteem is lost, right? And you just like, even as a widow, I myself felt initially I'm not the same person anymore. I used to be a radio presenter as well, and I said I cannot go back onto radio suddenly just because I lost my husband, and it was my children who egged me on and said, "But Amina is still Amina. You've lost dad, but you still yourself." I had to refine myself. Now you can imagine with the divorced women, their self-esteem, self-respect, they just totally broken, because there's been sometimes so much of abuse, emotional abuse, and that can really, really put a person down. It's very difficult to build that up again. And beside all the numerous challenges that they are then going to face, as I said, society is relentless, they're cruel, and they don't tend to give that same kind of sympathy and comfort. So when we formed this group, the one thing that we always did at the beginning of every meetup, we used to just meet casually at a coffee shop and things like that. And I used to tell them, put your hands on your heart and say, this is a safe space, and we are going to, honor everybody's respect, as well as keep all their secret or whatever that we are divulging here. It's a safe space for you to be able to talk. Family and friends and everybody can give you a lot of comfort, a lot of support, but you still at the end of the day don't feel as supported as whatever you're looking for, you're not getting it in your family. Do you know, when it was COVID, Julie, in that one weekend, I had 60 widows join my group. 60
Sure.
in one weekend. And that's really, really was really alarming, right? But I created another group at that time called for widows in Idda. Those widows, nobody could visit them at
Oh,
home.
wow. Wow. Amina, can I ask you to hold that thought, please? It's a very important matter that we need to talk about. Widows in Idda, because that must be the loneliest time in their lives. I don't think they could be lonelier than that 4 months that they sit in Idda. But let's go for an ad break, and when we come back, let's focus on that, inshallah.
Okay, fine.
rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
Gaza needs your support more than ever. Homes have been shattered and families have lost everything. With your support, our teams are delivering clean water tankers, feeding the hungry, and assisting orphans who have no one left. Let us give Gaza whatever help we can. African Muslims Agency, empowering, educating, inspiring.
Hey, Gulam.
Yeah?
Did I return your lawnmower last month?
No, bhai, you didn't.
Oh, no. Now what'll I do? I wanted to borrow it again, man.
With Rendry Jewelers, you won't have to borrow or lend because the prices are so well trimmed on all gold and diamond jewelry. Alternatively, we could remake your old jewelry into a brilliant new design. Visit Rendry Jewelers at 151 Stevens Lamini Road, Musgrave, Durban. Rendry Jewelers, the family name you can trust.
Soweto, it's time to stand together for justice, peace, and solidarity. Join us for the annual Soweto Walk for Gaza, taking place on Saturday, the 20th of June at 7:30 a.m. The walk will begin at the historic Regina Mundi Church and proceed to the monumentous Lamini Mosque, bringing together people of all faiths, backgrounds, and communities in a powerful show of unity and support. Bring your family, friends, and fellow residents as we walk together for a common cause. Let your voice be heard and your presence counted. That's the annual Soweto Walk for Gaza, Saturday, the 20th of June at 7:30 in the morning, starting at Regina Mundi Church and ending at Lamini Mosque. Together we walk, together we stand, together we show solidarity.
Are you banking with convenience, transparency, and flexibility? With Al Barakah Bank's transactional banking account, you can enjoy convenient everyday banking designed around your needs. Benefit from zero fees on point-of-sale transactions and manage your banking easily through Al Barakah's secure mobile banking app and internet banking platform. From everyday payments to managing your personal or business banking, Al Barakah makes banking simple, transparent, and convenient. Visit albarakah.co.za to learn more. Al Barakah, your partner bank. Al Barakah Bank Limited is an authorized financial services and credit provider.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
It is exactly 19 after 11 o'clock. This is the mid-morning show with me, Julie Ali, and we are in KZN right now talking with Amina Kathree Jamal. She is the founder of Healing Heart Support Group for widows and divorcees. Amina, you raised something really very, very important indeed. We're talking about the widow's iddah period. I don't think that there could be a lonelier time in anyone's life than the iddah period. And I think our lifestyles have changed so much. Back in the day when our moms and grannies and aunts were around and they, were widows, we had a very close-knit community and you had the women folk coming to your home every day. I remember when my mom was a widow, there wasn't a day throughout that 4-month period that we didn't have someone come over and sit for a while and chat and help with cooking or whatever have you. Things have certainly changed. Things have really changed. Your
Most
thoughts?
definitely changed. And more so for at that time, as I mentioned, with COVID, right? People were not visiting each other and things like that. So that's why this WhatsApp support group was the best source of comfort that people could have. And we foster a culture of compassion, confidentiality, and respect. And members are encouraged only to share what they're comfortable to share. Nobody's forced to talk about things, and only at the time when you are ready. So coming back to the period of Iddah, having said that it's very lonely and everything else that goes with it, but I tell you, I realized it's, Allah in His mercy and wisdom gave us this period, and you feel like you are in a cocoon. You are so sheltered, you are so protected, and you are very cared for by everybody will come and offer their help. I'm at the supermarket. Can I get you something? Or, they would drop off some things and things like that. We still experienced it. Well, I was 13 years ago. I still had, for a whole month, Julie, I didn't have to cook at all. Every day somebody was dropping off some food and baking and the visits and people phoning and saying we are reading and things like that. So the Ita period for the ladies who were during COVID time was very, very lonely. They were yearning for someone to give them that warm hug, to feel, to know that, okay, we're with you. The best we could do was to give them a call or to stand at their gate and, wave to them or things like that. That was a really, really tough time. But Alhamdulillah, Allah pulled us through. So I kept those ladies also in a cocoon, in a separate group, because they had different needs to what anybody had experienced before. When you're in Idda and you don't have a single soul visiting you or, giving you that hug and things like that. We could drop off food and that. Alhamdulillah, as those ladies became stronger, do you know what's so encouraging and so pleasing to me is that those ladies who are so fragile when they join the group, and look at them 6 months later, when we get a new widow joining the group, the comfort they are giving her, the motivation they are giving her. And I think, look how you've grown. You may not think so, but I monitor their progress and I say, look how wonderful this is. So this is what the support group is. We also don't judge anybody. We support rather than advise as well. Now, I had an experience where when I was, widowed, I had somebody come and tell me, when I was upset and, things like that. I was still in my Ida, oh, but this person's wife, they have accepted everything and they have moved on and things like that. It pierced my heart because I thought to myself, you don't even know what it feels like. You're not a widow. And I know when this person left, I threw myself on the bed and I cried so bitterly. And, I said, may you never experience this pain. So sometimes we judge, we compare, and this is something we shouldn't do to any widow, right? It's a grieving process that it's not a switch that you switch on and switch off, right? One day you may visit the widow and she may seem so well and like she's coping. And then suddenly, something hits you, a memory or a date that you may remember, a birthday or an anniversary or something, or your first grandchild is born and your husband's not there to share it with you. So people, it's a process that you've got to go through. It's a journey, like we always call that. So be very mindful when you are visiting them, a widow. That loneliness and the loss, the anxiety that they would feel about the future, the loss of identity because you were known as somebody's wife, right? And now you don't have that over you. You will struggle with self-esteem, with confidence. You have anger, you have guilt, you have so many unanswered questions. There's so many emotions that you go through. And that 4.5 months is the period that you really need to come to terms with a lot of things. I personally told my brother, I want to sell the house. I want to sell the cars. And I think most widows will want to do that because you don't know how you are going to be able to manage all this. And I know my brother in his wisdom told me, yes, we'll do everything once your Idda is over. And Julie, once the Idda is over, you start thinking differently again because you're in a
Absolutely.
better place. Yeah. So my
Alhamdulillah.
advice is don't rush decisions in your Idda. Give yourself that time and then you make decisions, and those will be wiser decisions. And of course, you'll ask Allah to guide you every day of your life.
And the beauty of being a Muslim and the beauty of the Iddah period is really about, uh, alone time. Yes, you'll have a lot of family and friends come over to give you support and visit, etc. Like you said, bring over food and everything else that goes with it on a social level. But really, this is Allah's mercy protecting the widow in this time where she is at her most fragile and most vulnerable, where people don't take advantage of her emotionally and otherwise. Alhamdulillah. So Allah is Ghafoor Rahim. We're going to have to wrap up in a few minutes. So, Amina, what are the absolute do's and don'ts, or the things you say or don't say when you're visiting widows? Things like, oh, you're not a widow yourself, but you'll say things like, oh, I know how heartbroken you are. You don't know, you're not a widow. So what are those things that you would caution people to say and not to say when you're visiting widows and possibly also divorcees?
Okay, don't talk too much. Don't, because that's when you're going to put your foot into it, right? Rather
Right.
listen than talk. So I would always say, rather say, I'm here to support you. If you ever want to talk, you can call me, and things like that. Really, you're very right when you say, I know what you're going through. I would turn around and say, no, you don't. So, yeah, and don't, the word sabr, I'm sorry, but we don't want to hear that, right? Just say, Allah,
Absolutely.
say Allah grant you strength. If there's anything that I can do for you, it's things like that. But listen more than talk, right? And nod your head, when they're talking, so that they feel like, okay, you understanding me. And as I say, your visit must also be very short. Don't ask questions. What happened? When was he ill? What happened? And, all those nitty gritties that people tend to ask because they want to know what were his last moments? What was his last words to you? Why is that important to you? So don't
Absolutely.
ask
And
those
I
kind of.
guess, I mean, the same applies to when you're supporting a divorcee. In fact,
Yes,
in that instance, it's even more sensitive because the spouse has moved on with his life, and you've got to be so careful that you don't trigger something in her by asking the wrong question or being too intrusive. That also creates huge problems, does it not?
definitely. Often the divorces is because there's a third person in that marriage, right? So then they want to know, so who is that slut? I've had divorced girls tell me that kind of thing, sorry. But who is that woman? And, that kind of thing. It's not your business. What did you visit that person for? Think about your purpose. You're going to support. You're going to show them that you care. You're going to show them that they have someone they can lean on. We don't need to ask the nitty gritties and the questions. So what we need to do is we have to be very clear in our mind. Correct your intention of your visit. Are you going to gather information so that you can pass it on? Or are you truly going, sincerely going to support that lady, either the widow or the divorce? We don't need to ask all the, juicy bits and the intricate details. I mean, why is that important to you? So we have to be very guarded. I have to tell you, I have about 60 girls who are under 48 who are divorced. Okay. And that's quite a large number, but that's also only, tip of the iceberg, because there are many more divorced girls. When it comes to the Healing Hearts Durban group, we have about 240 widows and divorcees who are 50 years and older. We have a group in Johannesburg as well, which is run and coordinated by our sister Farida Moideen, who moved from Durban here. Got a business
Okay.
in the Johannesburg and surrounding area. And we have about 100 ladies there too. So
Wow.
people from all over South Africa do join our group. They can join the Durban or the Joburg group, wherever they are. We have ladies from Cape Town in our Durban group as well. Hoping to start one group there in Cape Town, inshallah, if we get. So our activity is that we have a WhatsApp support group. We talk on WhatsApp all the time. If you're feeling down, you're having a bad day, the ladies put it up and everybody else will give them motivation. Then we meet once a month at a coffee shop, at a restaurant. We arrange a very reasonable rate so everybody can afford it. and we have lovely activities, keeping the ladies. I try and do lots of theme meetups and things like that. We do build a burger. We had an Eastern day, and things like that. And then the ladies meet each other so that they know they're not alone, and they meet like almost 100 ladies who are widows or divorced, all going through similar things. So that's
Mashallah.
such support.
I have to, sorry for cutting you off there, but we have to wrap up now. It's time for an ad break, and our next interviewee is standing by. How do people get in touch with you?
They can call me. You have my number. They can call me,
Right.
and we can, I speak to them, and then we add them on. But remember that why loss changes lives, but it does not define our future. Our sisters need to remember that. And every woman deserves a place where she feels seen, heard, valued, and supported. So together we heal, and together we grow, and together we find hope again, inshallah.
Subhanallah. Shukran very much for coming onto the show. And I have no doubt in my mind that you have given hope to people watching and listening to us this morning. Allah accept all your efforts and the rest of the group. Take care, and Khuda Hafiz.
Hafiz. Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
11:32 a.m. This is the Mid-Morning Show.
Soweto, it's time to stand together for justice, peace, and solidarity. Join us for the annual Soweto Walk for Gaza, taking place on Saturday, the 20th of June at 7:30 a.m. The walk will begin at the historic Regina Mundi Church and proceed to the monumentous Lamini Mosque, bringing together people of all faiths, backgrounds, and communities in a powerful show of unity and support. Bring your family, friends, and fellow residents as we walk together for a common cause. Let your voice be heard and your presence counted. That's the annual Soweto Walk for Gaza, Saturday, the 20th of June at 7:30 in the morning, starting at Regina Mundi Church and ending at Lamini Mosque. Together we walk, together we stand, together we show solidarity.